This is Kevin Finn. He trades bonds.
This is what I do, sit here and just look at this screen for, 12 and 14 hours a day. It's very romantic, actually.
More than anyone else we knew, we thought Kevin could explain why Dow wouldn't do anything to fix Bhopal. He told us what happened when Andy went on the BBC.
I got a call from my clerk in the middle of the night. Dow Chemical made some announcement that the stockholders of Dow Chemical didn't like because Dow stock went down. The S&P 500 futures went down. I had to go roll out of bed. My clerk's like freaking out because my position's going against me. My friend tells me he thinks it's, some global conspiracy of traders to try to screw us. And, it finds out it's two jokers.
The effect of our big announcement on the BBC was that Dow's stock lost over $2 billion in 23 minutes.
This tells me all the news that's happening in the world. So on December 3rd, if I was sitting here watching this, it would say, Dow Chemical decides to settle with the Bhopal people. And then people that own Dow Chemical would be like, sold!
Everybody we talked to about that was really happy that Dow was doing the right thing.
Sure, okay. I mean, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be. I'm just saying that, sure, it seems like a good thing, unless I guess you're a Dow Chemical stockholder and you're expecting the $20 billion to go towards a dividend to come back to you or to come to buy some new chemical plant, and it's going to these people that, at least at this point, aren't able to get any money. I mean, you could see how they could be upset about that, right?
We were confused. As kids, we learned that it was bad to do something bad. And if you did something good, you got a reward. Yet when we announced Dow would do something great, the market gave Dow a spanking. So how could we get companies to do the right thing? We needed to change the rules of the market. But that meant regulation, and regulation meant government. The only problem was, government was drinking Friedman's free market Kool-Aid.
Free markets are working miracle after miracle of economic growth.
Open markets and rule-based trade are the best engines we know of.
But when the government stepped back and let the free enterprise system do its work, then the better we did, the more robust our economy grew, the better I did, and the better my business grew.
For the last 30 years, the leaders of most powerful countries did whatever the free marketeers recommended. And what they recommended was simple.
The solution is not to have government to intervene or regulate in some way.
In fact, most problems will solve themselves if ignored, and let free people working in free markets address them.
Following advice like this, governments around the world got rid of a whole bunch of regulations meant to protect people, like in banking.
I'm confident that the degree of harm or spillover effect, whatever subprime mortgages go bad, that the market will devise ways to minimize and diffuse the negative effects.
Their faith in the market was unshakable, but we all know what happened next.
Now with the world's largest insurance company, AIG, on the brink of collapse, it could mean devastation way beyond Wall Street.
What other disasters weren't coming?
Global warming is silly. It's not a serious issue. Warmer is healthier, and warmer is more pleasant, and that's why states like Arizona keep gaining population rapidly.
There are benefits to global warming. Cold-related deaths will actually decrease considerably.
Just like with the subprime mortgages, our free market friends were doing all they could to stop government from intervening. Except here, the stakes were higher.
I think it's quite possible that if it weren't for groups like ours, that the United States might very well be in the Kyoto Protocol by now.
And if you've seen the ads that we ran about a year ago, which we produced in-house on this global warming, where our essential contention is carbon dioxide, they call it pollution, we call it life.
There's something in these pictures you can't see. It's what we breathe out and plants breathe in. Carbon dioxide. They call it pollution. We call it life.
We got lots of hate mail. 2 senators this past fall sent a letter to ExxonMobil calling on it to stop funding CEI.
So Exxon was secretly paying think tanks to tell us we shouldn't regulate Exxon. Public outrage forced Exxon to stop.
In fact, ExxonMobil didn't fund us at all this past year.
That was great, but Exxon had other ways to influence policy. Like this guy, Lee Raymond. He's a trustee of one of the key free market think tanks. He also used to be Exxon's CEO, and the year he left that job, he became an official advisor to the U.S. government on energy matters. This was scary. If we let the free market cult keep running the world, there wouldn't be a world left to fix. We had to do something. So when we heard about a huge oil conference up in Canada, we decided to go. Posing as a big PR agency, we offered them Lee Raymond, Exxon's ex-CEO, as keynote speaker. They jumped at the chance. But what they didn't know is that on the day of the talk, Raymond would be suddenly unavailable, and an assistant would step in to replace him.
Okay. Yep. This keynote speech will attract substantial media coverage and will be one of the major highlights of Go Expo.
What would we do to shake this audience up? It would have to be more shocking than anything we'd done before.
If there's one thing that's going to be abundant in the world to come, what with climate change and all that, it's people, dead people. This is a pilot program to use that fuel. It's called Vivolium, and here we are, making Vivolium.
As Lee Raymond's assistant, Andy would announce Vivolium, Exxon's new biofuel to be made from the victims of climate change. And he'd even hand out a sample.
So it started out, we made one Reggie, and then we cast a bunch of Reggies in wax.
That's human hair right there.
This is a lot of experimenting to figure out how to make a candle smell like human flesh.
Ow! I lost a Reggie.
Quick!
Ow!
We wanted to make sure that the oilmen knew what the candles they'd be holding were made of. So we'd show them a tribute video to Reggie Watts, a terminally ill Exxon janitor who had volunteered to be turned into fuel.
I think I'd like to be a candle. I think a candle would be fun because there's just so many uses for a candle.
There are 6 billion people on this earth today. We're probably using the energies, maybe, of 1 billion of those at best.
They had me test a Hellfire missile once. That was pretty cool.
We simply haven't found the miracle fuel yet to replace petroleum, but we'll eventually get there if government gets out of the way.
We had his miracle fuel, and our grandfathers were turning over in their mass graves.
CTV News with Barb Higgins and Daryl Chans.
Good evening. A bizarre situation today at the Go Expo Energy Conference at Stampede Park.
Organizers and hundreds of Alberta oil and gas executives got duped.
They'd been promised a major announcement from a major player in the energy industry. Attendees paid $50 a head to hear this speech from the National Petroleum Council, a group that advises the White House on oil and gas matters.
Welcome to Go Expo's keynote luncheon. Please welcome S.K. Wolf.
First, I need to say how wonderful it is to see on all the faces here today the childlike exuberance of a great industry in full flower. And why not? Without oil, at least 4 billion people would starve, and starving would become the new black. But I'm not here today to pat us all on the back. I'm here to speak of Plan Bs.
As Andy began outlining Exxon's tough solution to climate change, 10 volunteers passed out 300 human flesh candles. This vigil would be like no other.
Who first had the idea to use the oil of a recently living animal to light his or her house? Even today, Shetland Islanders cut the heads off their puffins, and put wicks in the stumps to make candles. We at Exxon firmly believe that a free market will, if left to its own devices, always find solutions to the dilemmas that humanity faces. We're calling our new technology Vivolium.
As Andy began to describe Exxon's new biofuel, the candles were lit. A strange odor rose into the air.
What you see here is an artist's rendition of an advanced large-scale plant. The Vivolium feedstock is renewable and unprecious and responds to the need of a shrinking market with greater supply. The dance of capital appears in full flower.
Finally, it was time to introduce Reggie Watts, the dying Exxon janitor who had volunteered to be turned into fuel.
And now we begin the tribute video to Reggie Watts.
Worked in maintenance for a while. Moved up to maintenance 2, started doing cleanup, toxic spill cleanup.
After I heard from the doctor that I was gonna die, I felt like I had something to live for.
Can you switch this off?
Could we
switch it off?
I think I'd like to be a candle. There's just so many uses for a candle. I mean, you know, like if you want something romantic, like that'd be nice to know. I was a candle on table, you know, when people, when they first met each other on a date. I think that would be great. I'd love that. That'd be a hoot.
This is a funerary observance. I mean, this guy died.
Switch this off before
This man died.
It's people. Really is.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
I'm very sorry, but we've been cut off. Apparently, we're not allowed to have a funerary observance for a man who's died to make a product possible. And I'm being, are you allowed to do that to me? What?
Reggie Watts was an ExxonMobil employee, and these are actually 30 or 40% from his actual flesh.
So this time it is 80%?
80%, I'm sorry.
The remaining 20 is from what?
The remaining 20 is just, you know, bonders to keep it together. We have to think in such a case.
What are your credentials with ExxonMobil? What is it? What part of his body?
Please, sure.
So if he's not with Exxon, not with National Petroleum, nothing?
Boy, oh boy. They better screen them guys a lot better before they let them in.
Now, thank you.
Hey.
Shut it down.
Don't touch my camera.
Shut it down. Now.
Had we actually made the oil people think about what they were doing? It was hard to tell, and there wasn't much time left to figure it out. Big oil was already destroying the planet, and not just by speeding up climate change.
This house right here, it used to be on this side. Yeah, it was over here. We moved over there. You know, I could only take it like 2 or 3 days a week coming down here to work. And this year for hunting season, I mean, I didn't kill nothing. I just wasn't in the mood to kill. You know, after seeing everything else that was dead, just wasn't in the mood. I mean, you know, not that I'm a big killer, but I like killing stuff. Yeah. It's really just amazing when you go downriver. Some of the ponds that we used to fish in are now almost like a bay.
For decades, the government had ignored scientists' warnings and let industry carve up the wetlands that protected New Orleans from storms.
About 1 million acres of land has disappeared since 1930. It was done canal by canal, oil field by oil field, port by port, parcel by parcel.